Your favorite seafood could disappear just because machines are tearing up the ocean floor. They promised clean energy and eco-friendly tech, but instead they sent bulldozers to crush fragile ocean life and dump toxic waste into the sea. This isn't green, it's greed. Many scientists, activists, and environmentalists now say that deep sea mining is not only dangerous for marine life, but also anti-human. But what does that mean? How can something happening miles under the ocean affect you, me, and the rest of the world? This is a serious problem, and we'll know more about the truth behind deep sea mining and see why it's raising red flags for human health, food security, climate balance, and even fairness. Even though most of us are already familiar with it, let's begin by understanding what exactly is deep sea mining. You probably heard the term thrown around, but what's really going on beneath the surface of our oceans? Miles beneath the ocean surface, sometimes as deep as 4,000 to 6,000 meters, that's deeper than Mount Everest is tall, there's a hidden world full of shiny valuable metals. We're talking about things like cobalt, nickel, manganese. These are the metals we use in smartphones, electric car batteries, laptops, and green energy tech. Now, here's the wild part. Companies want to dig these metals out of the seabed. Yes, they actually send huge machines to the bottom of the ocean. Think of underwater bulldozers or giant vacuums. These machines scrape, scoop, and suck up the seabed just to grab minerals. But they don't stop there. After collecting what they want, they dump the leftover waste right back in the ocean. And guess what? That waste spreads like underwater smoke, harming everything in its path. Where exactly are they mining? These minerals are found in few main places. Polymetallic nodules, these are weird black rock-like lumps flying freely on the seabed. They're packed with useful metals like cobalt and nickel. There's also hydrothermal vents. These are underwater geysers where hot mineral-rich water bursts from the cracks in the Earth's crust. Life around these vents is unique and delicate. And then there's also seamounts. These are underwater mountains covered with mineral crust. They also happen to be home to rare and strange marine creatures. So in simple terms, deep sea mining is like opening a treasure chest at the bottom of the ocean, but using a chainsaw to do it. And the price we pay might be much bigger than the metals we get. Crazy, right? But that's just the beginning. The real question is, what does all this mean for people like us? That's where the problems really start, and why many are calling deep sea mining an anti-human business. If that hits a nerve, smash a like and subscribe. You're exactly the kind of person this conversation needs. Now stay with us, because things are about to get deeper. No pun intended. So you might be wondering, why would anyone go through all that trouble to mine the bottom of the ocean? It sounds extreme, right? Well, here's the deal. The world is moving towards clean energy. Electric cars, solar panels, wind turbines, smartphones, and laptops. All these things need powerful batteries and advanced electronics. And to make them, we need certain special metals like cobalt, nickel, lithium, and manganese. Now, here comes the twist. These metals are getting harder to find on land, and mining them the usual way can be messy, expensive, and harmful to the environment. So some companies came up with a shiny new idea. They said, hey, the ocean floor is packed with these metals, let's just get them from there instead. Sounds clever at first glance. Oceans do cover more than 70% of our planet, and they're loaded with untapped resources. It seems like a gold mine beneath the waves. But here's what they don't tell you. They rarely mention what gets destroyed in the process. Entire ecosystems, unknown species, delicate underwater habitats that have existed untouched for millions of years. Once they're gone for good. So while these companies talk about powering a cleaner future, they're quietly creating a new kind of destruction under the sea. And we haven't even begun to understand the full damage yet. Curious how that impacts us? Well, let's dive into the real problems next. So, why do people call deep sea mining an anti-human business? This business is called anti-human because it damages the very things we humans need to survive and stay healthy, like clean water, fresh air, good food, and a stable climate. It also goes against fairness and long-term thinking. In short, it does help a few companies make money today while putting everyone else's future at risk. Now let's start with one of the biggest reasons. One, it destroys marine life, including the fish we eat. Now here's something most people don't think about. The ocean feeds billions of people. Fish isn't just some fancy thing you eat at a restaurant. It's a main food source for communities all around the world, especially in coastal and island nations. But deep sea mining? It messes that up in a big way. Here's how. To collect minerals from the ocean floor, companies send down massive machines that scrape, suck, or dig into the seabed. This creates giant underwater clouds of dust and water called sediment plumes. Imagine a sandstorm in the ocean. These plumes spread far and wide, blocking sunlight and covering everything in their path. Why does this matter? Well, it starts with plankton, tiny organisms that float near the ocean's surface. You may not see them, but they're the foundation of ocean life. Plankton feeds small fish, which feed bigger fish, and so on. If the plankton disappear, the entire food chain starts to fall apart. When deep sea mining disrupts the ocean floor, fish struggle to find food or safe places to breed. Cloudy, polluted waters wipe out key breeding grounds, and over time, fish populations drop. Some species even disappear entirely. This hits small-scale fishermen the hardest, especially in coastal villages where daily catches mean daily meals. As fish become scarce, seafood prices rise, making them harder for millions to afford basic nutrition. What started as one mining site in the deep ocean can ripple out, affecting dinner tables and livelihoods across the world. One machine underwater, and suddenly everyone feels the cost. And the unbelievable fact is that most of this damage happens silently, out of sight, because it's underwater. We don't see the destruction like we do with deforestation or oil spills, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. And unfortunately, that's just one of the many problems. Now let's keep going and look at more ways that deep sea mining is putting us all at risk. Starting with number 2, the economic and social risk, the hidden trouble on land. Now here's something that often gets overlooked when people talk about deep sea mining and the impact it has on land. Yeah, even though the mining itself takes place far out in the ocean, the effects don't stop there. What happens offshore eventually comes crashing back onshore, and it can bring serious trouble for people living along the coast. Let's break it down in a simple and relatable way. Once those deep sea machines suck up all the minerals from the ocean floor, the job isn't over. The raw materials still need to be processed, stored, and transported, and all of that happens on land. To make that possible, companies build onshore facilities, like ports, refineries, and warehouses. But where do they build them? These projects often appear in coastal areas, which bring a set of serious consequences. To build ports, warehouses, and processing centers, large pieces of land must be cleared. New infrastructure is developed, sometimes right where people live, and as a result, local communities may be forced to relocate, leading to something deeply troubling: displacement. Small fishing villages or beachside communities get pushed out of their own homes because the land is suddenly needed for a mining company's port. Families that have lived there for generations are told to pack up and leave. That's not just unfair, that's heartbreaking. The third thing is it damages coastal ecosystems too. Yeah, it's not just the people who suffer, the local environment takes a hit as well. Coastal areas are often rich in mangroves, coral reefs, and wetlands. These places aren't just beautiful, they're also important. They protect the land from storms, support tourism, and give fish a place to grow. But once the heavy machinery rolls in and construction starts, these delicate ecosystems can be destroyed. This means fewer tourists, fewer fish, and more damage during storms. It becomes a lose-lose situation for the environment and the people. So, who really gets the money? Because we gotta talk about money, because that's the part that really gets people talking. Mining companies often promise jobs and income for the local population, but here's the twist. Most of the profits go somewhere else. Resources are often owned by large international corporations, so while the minerals get taken and the land gets affected, the people living nearby may barely see any benefit at all. This raises a big, uncomfortable question. Who really wins here? Do the communities get schools, hospitals, or clean water? Or do they just get pollution, lost home, and empty promises? So when we look at deep sea mining, we can't just focus on the ocean. We have to look at the full picture, including what's happening to the people and land back on shore. Because sometimes the damage that's hardest to see is the damage that hits closest to home. Like and share if this made you question how far we'll go in the name of profit. Because while the ocean floor is being scraped for metals, some people are out here selling $1.2 billion dreams. But more on that later. Subscribe to the channel for stories that dive deep, whether it's beneath the sea or behind the lies.